Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 to Howl. We're nearly a quarter into this season. Can you believe it? 20 games in the books in about 10 hours, 9 hours. Game 21 will be played Utah against Toronto. So obviously these numbers will be outdated very quickly, but let's take a pause, see where the team is at. Now we could look at Utah's current performance and match it against Utah's own performance. Yes, we could look at Utah's first 10 games and see where they've excelled, where they've taken a step back. They're 8, 9, and 3. That's their record, 24th in the entire NHL. The past 10 games, they've been 4, 5, and 1. Their first 10 games, 4, 4, and 2. So 1 point lower than their first 10 games. Their point percentage went down from 500 to .475. For playoffs, you want that about 650-ish to make the playoffs, so they're definitely way below that. Goals for per game has went down. They're at 2.75, 21st in the league compared to 2.9 in the first 10 games. I thought it would be way lower. The fact that it's still nearing 3 last night was a good performance by the goal scoring department, scoring 6 goals on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So hopefully they gain confidence from that Pittsburgh game, but definitely the past 10 games, the big thing's been about why can't this team score? A lot of shutouts. I think they've had 5 shutouts in their first 20 games, so that's 25% of their games played they haven't scored, which is ridiculously bad. Goals against per game, it's been down. I've been okay with their 5-on-5 defense for the whole season pretty much. It still needs to go below 3, but they're trending in the right direction. 22nd in the NHL. I expect that to go below 3 moving forward. Power play, I mean, before last night, so much bad things to talk about the power play. They had 4 power play goals in the first 10 games, which was bad enough. And then before last night, they were at 3 power play goals from games 10 to 20. Luckily, they scored 3 power play goals last night against Pittsburgh, so they have 6 power play goals in their past 10 games. And I think just last night bumped up their power play percentage from their first 10 games. They're at almost 17%. Still not good. 22nd in the NHL. I don't know what the problem is. It's the same power play coach from last season who was an upgrade. It's Blaine Forsyth, who came from the Washington Capitals 2 off seasons ago. Last year was his first season. The power play was automatic. It was great, no problems. It's literally the same forward group they've had last year. There's literally not one new forward on this power play, yet it's struggling so much prior to last night. And they even added Sergachev on power play number 1, who I think it should be an objective opinion that Sergachev is better than Durzi. Sergachev is a number 1 defenseman. Not to shed some negativity on Durzi, just blatantly Sergachev is a better defenseman than Durzi. So they added him to the power play, and it's not his fault. He's amazing. Sergachev, top 5 on the team in points. I love Sergachev, so he's not the problem. Just I really don't know what the problem is, and I'm sorry that I don't have an answer for you. They've tried so many combinations. That Boston game where they just threw the whole lineup in a food processor. They separated Keller and Schmaltz on the power play. Schmaltz and Keller again were on separate units. It was like Keller, Michelli, Gunther, Kerfoot, and then Schmaltz, Kraus, Bukestad, Cooley in that Boston game. Even Andre Tourigny knew that was a terrible decision. That's why in the third period, Tourigny's like, hey, we're going back to the same lineup in the first 5 games of the season. And that's what they did for Pittsburgh as well. Same lineup that we were used to start this franchise. The money line in Keller, Schmaltz, and Hayden, the magic line in Michelli, Kraus, and Bukestad, and the young gun line in Cooley, Gunther, and McBain. And we saw what happened against Pittsburgh. They're familiar with each other. It's instinctual where their line mates are. They don't need to think hard of hey, where's my new line mate going to be on the ice? You look at that first goal by McBain. Gunther with that incredible hockey IQ and vision to go behind the net and a backhand pass to McBain, who's in front of the net, because he knows McBain. What does he do? Oh, all he does is go in front of the net. Why don't I put the puck there? The power play, it needs to get better. Hopefully, last night was a signal that it will get better. Penalty kill, I don't have problems with the penalty kill. My problem is they're way too undisciplined. The amount of penalties this team takes, even against Pittsburgh, just so frustrating that this team has. It's a very frustrating team to watch because their power play is bad. And they get so many power play opportunities, especially I think it was against Boston. They had 7 power plays and they didn't score on any of them. Like, that's frustrating to watch. And then when you see your team take so many penalties, it's frustrating as well. They're 10th in the league in the amount of minor penalties per game. Some of the suspects, usual suspects, were taking penalties. Ian Cole, 20 minutes in the past 20 games. I'm taking fights out of it. Fights, majors, whatever I'm taking out. Just minor penalties. Ian Cole, 20 in 20 games. That's averaging 1 penalty minute per game. Obviously, it's impossible to get 1 minute in one NHL game. Lamoureux is next up at 16 penalty minutes in the first 20 games. It's way too high. Gunther, 12, Cooley, 10. Those 3 players, Lamoureux, Gunther, and Cooley, they're young players, which is why they're committing more penalties. And then you have a veteran in Ian Cole who leads the team in minor penalties. You got to shore that up. Lamoureux, especially lately, taking a lot of penalties. Even though I don't disagree with some penalties here and there. Like, I think 2 penalties against Pittsburgh on Lamoureux shouldn't have been called, but they called it anyways. Just they need to really rein in this discipline. That's one of the marks of a rebuilding and a young team, is taking too many penalties. So you got too many penalties you're taking, terrible power play. Their special teams is really bringing this team down. 5-on-5, I got literally 0 problems with this team 5-on-5, except for maybe 1 player here. And then save percentage went up, surprisingly, to .89. You want to see that at 900 or above, so they're right there. 21st in the league. Shooting percentage, it's dropped. Usually Utah, Arizona Coyotes are like top 5 always in shooting percentage. They're at 10.5. At the first 10 game mark, they're nearing 11. That's about average. They are. Shots on goal per game, Utah, Arizona, always at the bottom of the barrel. They're continuing that. About 26 shots per game on net is 28th in the league, and it's been down from 26.5. A new stat appears on the board. Shots on goal against. It's pretty high. 29, nearly just above 29 shots against per game. That's 21st in the league. In the first 10 games, there was around the same, 29. So they're shooting for 26. They're getting shot on 29. That 26 needs to be way higher. There's so many games, countless games, where Utah has under 25 shots on net per game. Face-off percentage continuing to be good. Top 3 in the league. Arizona used to be terrible at face-offs, just like shots on net. But this year, their face-offs is amazing, like literally amazing. I think they were first place in the first 10 games. Now they're at 3rd place. So their power play is bad, even though they're winning more face-off. It just doesn't make sense. I really don't have an answer how the power play is bad, because usually most of the time in Arizona they would lose that power play face-off and the other team would dump it in, and that would waste 30 seconds. But for some reason they had a better power play then, and now that they're winning that power play initial face-off, they still can't score hits. I'm having trouble finding NHL team leaders, league leaders in hits per game. If someone could find it, thank you, but I literally can't find it. But they're continuing to be better in the hits per game. McBain leads the team in hits per game. Even though they're going to come out of this rebuild, hopefully sooner rather than later, the hits per game will drop off a little bit because you have the puck more, but I still want to see this team be hard to play against and have that physical edge to the game. Before we move on to the player stats, I want to talk about shots and why they can't score. So a Twitter user retweeted a perfect graphic. I DM'd him, where did you get these stats? So he sent me the website moneypuck.com. I did my own research after that, and here we go. So this picture here, Utah is first place in the league, percentage of unblocked shots that missed the net. So we're not counting the other team blocking the shot. We're not counting anything. This is unblocked shots where the puck is going to hit the net, the percentage that don't hit the net. So Utah leads the league in missed shots on net that aren't blocked. Now we look at their expected percentage of unblocked shots. So Utah is 23rd in this category, which means the Utah shots in mathematics, these shots shouldn't be missing the net. They're 23rd in the league. So these shots are expected to hit the goalie or hit the net, but in reality, they're missing the net way too much. And then you go to the third step, the percentage of misses above expected. Utah is second place in the league. This means that Utah is missing the net way more than they should be missing. It's not like these shots are terrible quality. It's like in the analytics, these shots should be hitting the net, but they're not hitting the net. So Utah's got a problem in execution and hitting their net. They're missing the net way too much. That's another problem with Utah. So I think we could say, what are the problems with Utah? Well, we'll get to goaltending, but aside from goaltending, power play, discipline, and hitting the net. I think that's it. I think those are the big three things for Utah. Power play, discipline, and they need to hit the net. I think those are things you could work on. Those things aren't hard to fix. What's hard to fix is 5-on-5 play, and the fact that they're great 5-on-5. That's a testament to the coaching. I know the coaching is a hot topic with some of the fan base. We're not going to talk about coaching just yet. So let's go to the players. Keller leading the way, 19 points in 20 games, perfect. Gunther, 17 points in 20 games, leads the team in goals at 9, perfect. He had a 3-point night last night against Pittsburgh, 2 goals. Schmaltz still, this is hilarious. He's still looking for his first goal of the season in 20 games. Last night we thought he scored, but Hayden committed goaltender interference, so they call back Schmaltz's goal, and he's got 15 points in 20 games. I'm not upset at his points, his goal totals. It needs to be like 5. Like, he needs to have at least 5 goals in the first 20 games. 0 is unacceptable. Cooley as well. I need Cooley and Schmaltz. There's other players. Relax. I need Cooley and Schmaltz to have higher goal totals. Cooley, again, he needs to be at 5 goals minimum. But great to see him. 14 points in 20 games. That's pretty good. So those players have good points per game. Just that execution. They need to score more. They're top 6 forwards. You just need to have that goal stat be higher. And Sergachev, no complaints. 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. Some other players that had a good past 10 games. Keller and Gunther, 9 points in their past 10. Schmaltz and Cooley, 6 points in their past 10, so not as good. Michelli, only 3 points in his past 10 games. It gets worse. Kraus, 0 points. 0 points in his passing games. I don't hear a lot of people pointing that fact out. Kraus needs to step it up. He gets paid. He signed a new contract a couple of years ago. I think he gets $5 million. I didn't check it before making the video, but he needs to step it up. We need that depth scoring to take the load off, especially with guys like Cooley and Schmaltz not scoring. You need Michelli and Kraus to start scoring. Kesselring, 5 points in his past 10 games. He's stepped up in the past 10 games. Loving Kesselring's game. And McBain, 6 points, 4 goals in his past 10 games. Loving McBain. Definitely deserves to be playing with Gunther and Cooley. Then we go to the big topic. Ingram versus Vejmelka. I think I'll be doing a video just focusing on these two guys in a week or two when they have a bunch of time off. But Ingram, his win-loss record, pretty good, 6-4-3. Goalie numbers, really bad, really atrocious. There's no way to spin these numbers. They're bad numbers. 8.71, 0.871 save percentage. That needs to be at 9 or above. And goals against average, 3.61. That needs to be 2.5 or lower. And look at Vejmelka, doing exactly what I just said. Has a 0.927 save percentage, incredible. 2.21 goals against average, amazing. Win-loss record could be better, 2-5. But, you know, there's been so many performances by Vejmelka where the team just lets him down, doesn't give him that goal support. Some other analytics, I know you guys love analytics, expected goals against. Ingram is at -10. What does that mean? That means he's allowed 10 goals more than he should have. So in mathematics, analytics, not real life, Ingram should have saved 10 more goals, but in reality, in real life, he's allowed those 10 goals. For Vejmelka, he's +6, which means he should have allowed more. He should have allowed more goals than he has saved. He should have 6 more goals against him, but he's good enough where he has saved those additional 6 goals. So completely different goalies. Loving Vejmelka lately. Sure, when he came in relief in that Washington game, his head wasn't in it. You can tell 2 goals that he probably should have had. But loved his game against Boston, Pittsburgh. We'll see how he performs tonight against Toronto if he gets to start. I know it's a back-to-back. They might go with their young, recently acquired goalie in Jackson Stauber, but hopefully Vejmelka gets to start and he just continues his play. I really like Vejmelka's play this season. He's not moving around too much. Last season, I really didn't like him because he moved around way too much. This guy was swimming in his crease. He thought the blue ice was water. That's how bad he was moving. But this year, he's very purposeful in his movements. He's kind of taking a page out of Ingram's book. Ingram doesn't like to move at all, which I love. Just very purposeful movement. Doesn't really make moves with his body that are unnecessary. Like Vejmelka this season, I could see he's not committing any unnecessary movement. Every movement is purposeful to save the puck and direct the puck or the rebound elsewhere. So it was a good game against Pittsburgh. Definitely lifted my spirits. I think if they lost against Pittsburgh, the mood would have been much sour, but they have a lot of room to improve. And I think this team could do it. Like the issues I've already noted, they're fixable. Just you need practice time, and they're coming up a couple weeks. I think after the Montreal game, they got like 3 days off. Next week, they got a lot of time off. With this time off, Turney loves to have practices. This team performs well when they have a lot of practice time. So I really think they could zone in, hone in on those issues of discipline, power play, and hitting the net. If they just fix those things and they keep that 5-on-5 play. Remember the first 10 games, the problem was they couldn't stop letting goals in. Well, they've done that. Like the bleeding has stopped in terms of team defense, goaltending. Now that Vejmelka is getting more starts. Defensively, they've improved so much from the first 10 games. Now it's time to have that offensive improve without sacrificing that great team defense. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.